The air in Chancellor Palpatine's office was thick enough to taste, a cloying mixture of ozone, expensive wood polish, and the metallic scent of impending betrayal. The cityscape of Coruscant sprawled beyond the windows, a galaxy of lights oblivious to the darkness coalescing in its heart. "Good, Anakin, good!" Palpatine hissed, his voice a serpent's whisper coiled around Anakin's fracturing mind. "I feel your anger. I am defenseless. Take your revenge. With my teachings, you will have the power to save Padmé from certain death. It is the only way." Anakin Skywalker stood over the seemingly helpless Sith Lord, his blue lightsaber humming a hair's breadth from the Chancellor's throat. His world had narrowed to this single catastrophic choice. On one side, the Jedi Code, the order he had served since boyhood, his master Obi-Wan Kenobi, the entire Republic. On the other, a whispered promise, the power to cheat death, the life of the woman he loved more than the stars themselves. The dark side pulsed around him, a heady, addictive drug. It offered clarity through power, control through fear. It was the easy path, the selfish path. All he had to do was swing his blade. He saw it then, not as a vision, but as a visceral premonition that washed over him with the clarity of ice water. He saw himself not as a savior, but as a monster encased in black armor, a slave to a mechanical breath. He saw Padmé not alive and saved, but pale and lifeless. Her last word a whispered Anakin. Of utter heartbreak, her spirit extinguished not by childbirth, but by his own force-choking hand. The dark side's promise was a lie. It didn't offer power to save, it offered only power to destroy. Palpatine's words were not a lifeline. They were the final turn of the knife in a wound the Sith Lord had been carefully carving for a decade. The scream that was building in Anakin's chest, a scream of rage, of fear, of desperate want, did not erupt. It dissolved. The tension that had held his body rigid bled away. The yellow flicker in his blue eyes guttered and died, replaced by a stormy, horrified resolve. He deactivated his lightsaber. The snap hiss of the blade retracting was the loudest sound in the room. The Chancellor's expression of gleeful anticipation faltered, replaced by a flicker of genuine, stunned confusion. "No," Anakin said, his voice raw but steady. It was not a shout. It was a statement of fact. "You're wrong." Palpatine's face began to contort, the mask of benevolence melting into something grotesque. "Don't be a fool, Anakin. Your love for her will be your undoing. Without me, she will die." "I won't save her life by taking yours," Anakin replied, taking a step back, his hand moving to his comlink. "And I won't become the monster you're trying to create. The Jedi will find another way. I will find another way." In that moment, Anakin Skywalker didn't choose the light side over the dark. He chose Padmé's love over his fear of losing her. He chose hope over despair. The transformation on Palpatine's face was instantaneous. The kindly mentor vanished, replaced by the naked, terrifying visage of Darth Sidious. "Then you will die with her," he snarled, and Sith lightning, blue and evil, erupted from his fingertips. Anakin barely got his lightsaber reactivated in time, crossing the blades to form a crackling shield against the torrent of energy. He was driven back, his boots screeching against the polished floor. He was powerful, but he was not a master of the dark side. He was fighting a defensive battle against a foe of incalculable power. "Master Windu!" he screamed into his comlink, his voice strained against the onslaught. "The Chancellor, he's the Sith Lord. He's revealed himself. His office, now!" The door to the office exploded inwards. Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, Agen Kolar, and Saesee Tiin burst into the room, their lightsabers a symphony of vibrant light. The sight of the Jedi Masters broke Sidious's concentration for a fraction of a second. It was all the opening Mace Windu needed. "You're under arrest, my lord," Windu growled, his purple blade held ready. The fight was fierce and brutal. Sidious, cornered and enraged, moved like a demon, but he was outnumbered by 4 of the Order's finest, with a 5th, Anakin, watching for an opening. Agen Kolar and Saesee Tiin fell quickly to the Sith Lord's furious assault, but their sacrifice gave Windu the opening he needed. With a mighty effort, he deflected the Sith lightning back at its source, disarming Palpatine and forcing him to the ground. Anakin watched as Windu raised his blade for the killing strike. The dark side whispered one last desperate temptation. He has the power to save her. Let him die, and the secret dies with him. Anakin's hand twitched, but the vision of the monster he would become was too fresh. He saw the path now for what it was, a chain. "He must stand trial," Anakin shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "The Senate must decide his fate." "He is the Senate," Windu roared back. "Then we are lost if we become him," Anakin countered, his words echoing the very teachings of the Jedi he had moments ago been ready to betray. "We are not executioners." The hesitation, the moment of philosophical conflict, was all Sidious needed. With a burst of Force energy, he threw Windu back, but the fight was already over. More Jedi and galactic security forces were pouring into the room. The Sith Lord was overwhelmed, captured not by a blade, but by the rule of law he had sought to undermine. The fallout was a galactic earthquake. The revelation that Chancellor Palpatine was Darth Sidious, the mastermind behind the Clone Wars, shattered the Republic. With irrefutable proof, including Anakin's testimony and the recorded security footage, the Senate was thrown into an uproar. The war built on a lie sputtered and died. The droid armies were deactivated. The Separatist leadership, abandoned by their master, was rounded up. Anakin Skywalker was hailed as the hero who saved the Republic, but within the Jedi Temple, the atmosphere was grim, the cost had been astronomical, the war had left scars across the galaxy, and the Jedi Order's role as generals had deeply compromised its principles. The real battle for Anakin was just beginning. With Palpatine in a maximum security cell, his promise of saving Padme was gone. Anakin's fear returned, a cold knot in his stomach. He confessed everything to Obi-Wan and the Council, his marriage, his nightmares, his temptation. The Council, shaken to its core by its own blindness, was different. Yoda, in particular, saw the profound lesson. The Jedi's rigid dogmatism had nearly driven their chosen one into the arms of the Sith. A new approach was needed. "To the best healers in the galaxy, we will take Senator Amidala," Yoda declared. "Not through Sith sorcery, but through science and compassion. We will ensure her safety. And you, young Skywalker, to face your fear, you must. Not through suppression, but through understanding." Padme gave birth to Luke and Leia in a state-of-the-art med center on Coruscant, surrounded by the best medical droids and Jedi healers. The delivery was difficult, but successful. There were no nightmares, no premonitions of death come true. Palpatine's manipulations had preyed on a fear that was never destined to be realized. The Jedi Order, humbled, began a reformation. The rule against attachment was re-examined, not discarded, but understood in a new light. Love was not seen as a path to the dark side, but a power that required immense discipline and wisdom. Anakin, never comfortable with the old dogma, became an unlikely voice for this change. He never became the Jedi who brought balance by destroying the Sith and the Jedi. He became the Jedi who brought balance by helping the Order rediscover its heart. He was a husband, a father, and a Jedi Knight. He was a living reminder that the Force was not about power alone, but about choice. The galaxy embarked on a long and difficult recovery. The Republic was restructured, its flaws laid bare. The Jedi Order, smaller and wiser, returned to its role as peacekeepers and guardians. And Anakin Skywalker, the man who was once destined to become a monster, would often stand on the balcony of his apartment, watching the Coruscant skyline. In one arm, he held a newborn son, and in the other, a daughter. Padme would stand beside him, her hand in his. The nightmares were gone, replaced by a future that was uncertain but bright. He had not chosen the path of a prophecy, he had chosen the path of a man, and in doing so, he had saved not just the galaxy, but himself.